All right. Well, it's June 10th, and this is our last journal club for the school year. And thank you guys for coming. Um, I picked these articles today because I was feeling a little lazy and I wanted to know. I just Googled psychological safety and found this one, and then I put it into and we went back into Google Scholar and found one that had cited it and found the second one by the same authors, which I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. Let's see what they did with it twice. Um, so the first one is promoting psychological safety in simulation using a novel visual tool, a mixed method quasi-experimental study. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people that collaborated on this, which I just find incredibly fascinating because I keep thinking about things that I want to write. And I'm like, there's so much work. But then it's like, how much more work would it be to have like 9 people collaborating on an article together? I can't imagine. So this article talks about, the background is about psychological safety is imperative for simulation-based learning, but it's challenging for educators to establish, says these authors. So they created this visual tool, they call it STEPS, that was incorporated into simulation-based activities for nursing students to support or strengthen their psychological safety. The objective was to determine the impact of STEPS on these students. And so they did a one group pre-test, post-test, 12 simulation activities, and used the psychological safety and high fidelity simulation scale, which I was also interested in. And then did an open-ended survey responses and focus groups. So there were 51 pre-licensure nursing students participated, and the authors state that the students' perceptions of psychological safety improved post the STEPS intervention. And then qualitative data also revealed that they found STEPS valuable for enhancing learning from mistakes, support, comfort, and confidence. Students had different perceptions of how STEPS needed to be explained, though. And the article didn't get into how they explained it, which is what I'm curious about now. But their conclusions was that incorporating STEPS served as a visual reminder for students and faculty and promotes a safe and supportive environment. I was really glad to hear that they use the word promote, because I don't know that this is a strong enough tool to actually create psychological safety, right? So that's that article in a nutshell. And they had some nice visuals, and so I made a cube. Let's see if it'll show up now. And for one of Chris's simulations this quarter, I actually just set it on the desk, and I think somebody explained to him a little bit what it was about. But Chris, did you even look at it when it was there? Did the
Yeah,
students look at it?
I did. Yeah, the LRN brought it in. We were about a quarter way through the day already, but yeah, she brought it in and I looked at it. I don't think the students looked at it, but we were using the what I call the feel wheels, and we've gotten such I've gotten such positive feedback from students about that that I didn't really focus on the cube yet, but I'm interested in using it for sure.
Yeah, they some of the comments that the students made were that the explanation of it was becoming redundant after, because they did 12 different simulations with it. Um, but I couldn't glean any clue on how they explained it to the students. And I'm curious about it because I think we are so heavily intentional about psychological safety in our simulation um, settings that I don't know what more we could do to incorporate this, except for have it on the table for the very beginning as a visual reminder, or maybe students who have, need a more visual cue than I don't know.
Did they say in the articles how they used it? Or like do you roll it to each other? I'm like,
No,
how?
they say it sits in the middle of the table.
Okay. Okay.
You know, our table in building 5, in both our debriefing rooms has a big hole in the middle. Right. And it's a big table. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I wish it was more colorful. And I guess there may be reasons why it's all these kind of watercolor colors, but confirm you're speaking English. You guys have any other thoughts?
I like that the students, some of the quotes that the students said they felt very supported. They felt comfortable during the simulation, and that they felt safe to make mistakes, which I think we do a good job of that anyway, because we've got the heart decal and everything. But I can see where there would be what's the word, like message saturation if we're explaining it over and over and over. Yeah, so I understand what they're saying there.
They also didn't share what else they do to promote psychological safety in their simulation program, right? And so maybe this was their first step.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I also haven't heard that message saturation from our students about the stuff that we do every single time, like the 5-finger contract. You know, because I was worried about that they were going to go, oh, because of the pushback I got when I first rolled it out with some faculty was like, you know, this was infantile and no way were they going to say all those words. And I'm like, just, you know, just ride with it, please. And sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't. But I go from first quarter to last quarter and have them do it. In the last quarter, I have them tell me during the capstone, right? And they're like, no, we got this. And they know it.
Hmm.
But I've never heard that it's redundant.
Yeah. I mean,
And there's not, go ahead.
I think part of it too is how the instructor presents it. Like on the first time, even in mental health nursing, since they've got 3 clinicals, that first clinical with me, I spend a lot of time on the 5-finger contract because they haven't heard it since the quarter before, you know. But then as we go through by the second and third, I do ask them to do it, and they're always able to do it. So I think that to me, it shows that um, I spent enough time in it, but not too much because they understand it, but they're not like, oh, here we go again. You know what I mean? So I think it depends on how the instructor presents it as well.
See, Kristen wrote something in the chat. What did she write? Oh, she said they seem to enjoy the 5-finger contract. I think they find it reassuring. You know, it's like they can expect it. There's a lot of things that are unpredictable in simulation. And they walk in a lot of times not really knowing what they're going to be doing. I mean, to a certain point. But they always know they're going to start with that. It's kind of like the wheel, right? They always know the debriefing is going to start with the wheel. I was really curious about the psychological safety survey questions because I hadn't heard of that tool before. So I feel frozen in place due to being nervous. I'm afraid I would make mistakes during the practice simulation. I feel like I'm thrown into the class unprepared. I feel anxious. I don't want others to see my video. I feel anxious that my peers are going to watch me. I lose focus because I'm being evaluated. I feel cornered when my peers evaluate me. I fear what the professor will say when they give me feedback. I feel worried that the professor will point out my mistake. I feel anxious that I'll be criticized by the professor for my mistakes. My peers will not criticize. Oh, this is the reverse one. My peers will not criticize me for my mistakes. I do not feel ashamed of showing my peers my mistakes. Or I feel worried that my peers will tell each other my mistakes after the simulation-based learning is over. I feel like a lot of the work that's gone into our pre-briefing script based on the standards cover so much of that. All right. The second article, let me see if I have any other notes on this one. The second article was a follow-up to enhance the psychological safety 2.0, the STEPS 2.0, they call it, utilizing simulation expert feedback to continuously improve the visual aid. So it sounds like they took this to numerous international conferences and asked simulation experts how they, for feedback and how they could improve it. So 81 educators completed a post-survey after exposure to this tool. And they came up with some suggestions. I thought it was interesting how they surveyed the simulation educators, where they took each photo and said, how well does this image represent this? So their 4 themes were teamwork, providing a safety net, support, and putting the puzzle pieces together, which that was a new concept to me, was putting the puzzle pieces together. I don't know that we've talked about that a lot in simulation. I mean, we kind of do, but that's not been necessarily an emphasis. And then the word cloud, how well does it represent psychological safety? And then they asked them, do they love it, like it, or change it? Which I thought was an interesting scale. I think the key things we got out of the survey was to clean up the word cloud, and then to add some diversity into their student population that are represented. Something I thought was interesting was they wanted more diversity in the student population that was represented. So one thing they did was they put glasses, or they want somebody with disabilities. So they put glasses on a student. I was like, oh, okay. And then they put a hijab on a student. And those were the changes that they made. And Kristen says that making those connections is connecting the dots or making connections. I agree. And we talk about that a lot in the debriefing sometimes. But I don't know that I don't know that it's incorporated in any of our scripts. And the responses to their open-ended survey, our open-ended survey responses was to create fidgets. So maybe I wonder if that means like create fidgets of the cube, and then the students will pay attention to it. And like maybe this fidget or that square poppet one.
Yeah, it said it was, excuse me, it said the tool could be helpful for pre-brief as well as debrief. And I'm wondering for pre-brief, would that just look like, how do you feel now before we start this scenarios? Or like, how would you incorporate that in pre-brief?
I wonder if it would help students to create a mental image of the concepts that we talk about in pre-brief. Because you can have all these words floating around in the air, but if you could say like the safety net one, right? Go, okay, so you have a safety net, you have the heart on the floor, you have your peer support, you have your other nurse, and then here's an image in your head if you need it. or things aren't going to make sense necessarily at the beginning, but as we progress through the scenario and the debriefing, you'll make connections.
Mm.
So maybe what we're creating right now, Chris, is how do you introduce the cube?
Yeah. Yeah, and do we use the cube and the feel wheels, or is that too much?
Well, I wonder if we do the cube as part of the pre-brief, like I could look at the scripts and go, and this is the support page on the cube, and then we're done with it. And then if they need to refer back to it in the debriefs, they can because they have the tool already. But I think the wheels are a gem for the debrief.
Mm.
Although somebody was telling me that they were using it as a pre-brief tool as well to go, how are you feeling right now before we go in? At the beginning of the day. But I feel like the pre-brief time that we spend is so crunched already,
Mm.
to try to like get in and get going and staying on time.
Yeah, I feel like they walk in with so much anxiety and stress, but if you could just hold that cube up and be like, okay, like focus, like they don't even know in some of the Sims, but having that, like you said, the visual of, okay, these are the puzzle pieces, this is your safety net. Just they're like, oh yeah, okay, focus.
Yeah, I noticed some of the instructor feedback too was a couple of them had said that they should use real pictures of like real people, but I kind of like the little cartoon drawing things because I feel like I mean I could see how maybe someone might look at that and be like, oh, that's treating us like children or something. But I think it's supposed to be an image that just promotes well-being and safety and who doesn't like cartoons, right, when you're a kid? So I think having those animated figures actually makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. And it also doesn't get you hung up in with, oh, like physical details. Kristen added the images and soft colors are comforting, and maybe that will help decrease stress as well. I could also see how I'm looking at the word montage that's on the top of it. Oh my goodness, here we go. So they cleaned up the one that was their original one, which I appreciate. But that might also be something a student could like glide into and go, oh wait, here's, because they really like the feelings wheel, right? So maybe there are some people who would like to be able to put words to what's going on. Trust is on here like 8 times. Mhm. So Yelena, I know you're driving. Is there any way you can unmute and have your say?
Unmute me?
Yeah.
What is it, darling?
Do you
I
have
actually-
any input?
Um, yes, I do. But my input is okay. I have a feeling, at least with this latest activity in the cube and articles, that sometimes we go a little too far into let's make it as gentle as possible, as psychologically safe as possible. we're dealing with adults, and yes, I understand we have to be mindful of so many things. But I believe we have a really robust setup with Firefinger and those words. I do like those words. I thought those were pretty cool addition. That I'm talking about the wheel.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That we maybe should stop concentrating on how even more psychologically safely we can be arranging our simulation, but rather divert into a different side of the world of simulation. And as I was listening to you guys discuss the topic, I actually want to talk to my son and see how do they do their pre-briefing? He's in the Air Force, right? And so we know that a lot of things are coming from the military and Air Force and checklists and all those things. So that I mentally gave myself a homework to do that. Um, and then maybe I can even sign up for the next journal club to lead the journal club with the articles that I want to discuss. um, it may come out of, I hope it would come out of the my discussion as to how they do it, and maybe we can learn something. Maybe it wouldn't even healthcare simulation, but rather, military pre-briefing or military simulation, and what is it that they do super cool that we might consider adopting.
I think that would be awesome.
Well, thank you. I kind of got excited myself. And that's the freaky part about these journal clubs, that sometimes the article is like whatever, I don't really care much, but then people start talking, boom, something clicks somewhere and you go, hey, I'm going to take it further. And so that's why I really appreciate you leading them and offering them to us. And I think that you're God already, so I'll stop talking about that.
But I agree with you. It's sometimes it's not necessarily the article. It's the where does it lead the discussion to? And
Right.
what ideas does it spark? And what kind of um sharing or collegiality, that's not quite the right word, does it promote, right?
Oh,
Like, I really love when people from other colleges come and they're like, oh well, I don't know the OC way, but they are like, oh well, we approach it like this. I was like, oh.
mhm.
And I've learned a lot this year with interfacing with people from across the state since the new WACLA came out, and hearing their, having them describe their simulation programs and their approach to things and sharing ideas. And the journal club to me is one more way, because I think this is the first one we've had where there hasn't been anybody else from another college.
Yeah, that's unusual, but it is super cool when they do show up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you have the set dates for fall quarter already, or?
I do not, but if you're willing to present, then I bet you could pick the first date.
Well, and so should that be October
It could be October or September.
or
I was
even?
going for October, November, December, and then that way we'll get in 9 in the 25-26 year.
Okay. Well, then how about October 7 or 800?
That's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris can make it.
Everybody? Chris?
Yeah.
All right, I'll
I'll
set
be
it
in
up.
clinical.
Oh,
I have
Kristen, what do you-
clinical. Yeah.
Oh, who has clinical?
I'll just listen to the recordings.
Oh, Kristen, are you sick?
I am sick.
I'm
That's why
sorry.
I'm laying low. I'm very sick. Yeah.
Oh,
So
Okay,
But I love these.
all right. Well, I will send that, I will set that meeting up and send it out, with the notice of the recording for this. And anything else? Is there like so the first quarter that I did this, winter quarter, I did, like the same day every month kind of thing. And then spring quarter, I mixed it up all over the week. Do you guys have any suggestions? Feedback? It seems like 8 o'clock works well. If it's gonna work.
8 o'clock appears to be okay. It would be super cool if you set them up for the whole year. Then it would be easier for me to take a day off on those days, kind of thing.
What, how much ahead of time do you get your schedule?
3 months.
Okay. So that was what I was trying to do, is at least a quarter, for a quarter at a
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Then I know my schedule.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I guess I'm a little selfish that I want to be here. Actually, part of my job, I got called out going, you're supposed to do professional development, like quarterly for the faculty. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, are you doing it? I'm like, I think the journal club counts. So I haven't heard any more about that one. But, okay, well, I think that we can call it a day. Thanks for coming, everybody. It was nice to have a little lighter impact this time of the quarter, I gotta say. And thanks
Thank
for offering to do October.
Oh, for sure. Thank you so much again for leading this club. And um, I think I'll try to identify the article ahead of time, and I'll try to dig into my contact lists as well. Like maybe Christine Spry can attend all the way from Florida, you know what I mean? Or all those old girls.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And so what I'd like to do, if you send me the article
Uh-huh.
a week ahead, and I'll attach it to the invite, and then I send it back out. And that kind of prompts more people to go, oh, that's right.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Okay. Sounds
All right.
good.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good
Thank
day.
you. You too, Susie. Bye, guys.